Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to Pop Council. We are your Pop Council. I'm Wendy Lee Szany. Joining me today is Jami Philbrick. Wait, nope. There we go. Jami Philbrick. And hey, this is a show where we talk about everything in pop culture. And for today, we are talking about, of course, spoiler for Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Kevin Feige on Young Avengers, maybe, yes, a little Zatanna news, Disneyland news, and so much more. And it would not be the proper Pop Council, Jami, if we didn't have a proper guest. So with that said, please welcome John the Outlaw. I gotta say it, the Outlaw Rocha.
Yay!
Hello, everyone. Great to see you.
Welcome to the show.
Oh, please. Thank you for having me. Great to see your pretty smiling faces, both of you. I'm excited to be back. I haven't seen you guys in forever, so it's great to be a part of this. Even virtually, it's nice to be here. So thank you very much. Looking forward to it.
Yes.
Oh, we love the Outlaw.
I love you guys.
Carry on the Outlaw in the Schmodown. So, Rocha, for the audience who may be seeing you for the first time, I don't know how that's even possible because you do like 10,000 shows plus more. But let the audience know a little bit about you and what you do.
Yeah, I'm a writer, a producer, a host over on my channel. It's youtube.com/John Rocha says. It's the Outlaw Nation, essentially building up my own outlet step by step, piece by piece, review movies, talk about the entertainment news, talk about sports, politics. It's all there on my channel. But also, a movie trivia schmodown, 4-time champion, which is an awesome thing that I love doing. I love to review movies, a massive fan of it. Been very honored to be a part of the Hollywood Critics Association, even more so after our recent event. All the love they gave to Zack Snyder and the suicide prevention awareness, the HCA. Hope I said that right. And of course, what they did for The Rock. So for me, that's what I do. I review movies, talk about the world events, and have a good time on my channel. And it's been a blast on this crazy road over the last 6 years. So
isn't that right?
Yeah.
Wow, that's incredible. And today we're going to hit you with some more geeky news, Rocha and Jami.
Yeah.
So I hope you guys are ready. So real quick, before we kind of get into any of our other topics, breaking news today. So Emerald Fennell, you may know her as the director of Promising Young Woman. She is now set to write for the movie Zatanna in the DCEU. She'll be writing for, I believe, Bad Robot and Warner Brothers. And this is really exciting because people may not know that she's not just like, brand new director, promising young woman, 5 Oscar noms and all that. Like, she's actually done other stuff. For example, Killing Eve, which, by the way, if you haven't watched the show, you totally should. What do you guys think of this news that she's going to be writing the film? Rocha, let's go to you first.
Okay, sure. Yeah. I love it. I think it's great. I loved Promising Young Woman. What an incredible surprise of a movie. And, every once in a while, these movies come along and they knock you on your butt and they introduce you to a brand new talent or a talent that's been building to this opportunity. And of course, I had seen Emerald Fennell in The Crown as Camilla Parker Bowles. I knew she showrun the 2nd season of Killing Eve, which was incredible for such a young actress and young performer to be handed a show like that in its 2nd season. I thought spoke volumes about the kind of faith people in the studios have with her. So to have her stepping forward and taking on this character of Zatanna, who is very beloved by a lot of the DC universe, I think it's great what she was able to do with Promising Young Woman. Gives you an idea of the kind of Zatanna approach we may be seeing here that may be a little more different than people expect and could be edgier than people expect, which I think should excite a lot of people. I'm just waiting to hear the news that she called Tiffany Smith, and Tiffany Smith has agreed to be Zatanna. That's what I'm waiting for the next news to be.
Chills just went up my arms. I would love to see it, Tiffany. I'm rooting for you.
It would be great. But yeah, this is just the next step for her too. I saw some people complaining, did she want to do this? Is this her choice? Did they just hand her a female? No, I mean, I think that she's still building her resume, still building her career. Trying out a superhero movie to see how she does is a great next step for her in her budding career as a great film director.
Yeah, absolutely. What about you, Jami? Thoughts on her being the writer for the film?
Yeah, I totally agree with John. I mean, this is kind of perfect choice, right? She is very much the writer director of the moment. Yeah. I thought that Promising Young Woman is one of, if not the best movie of the year, in my opinion. Judas and the Black Messiah is up there for me too. But those two and The Five Bloods. So I think she's a great choice. And we've heard rumors that Zatanna was probably, in the pipeline. And it makes a lot of sense to me, because if you look at the premier female figures in DC Comics, okay, we've had a Wonder Woman movie, we've had a Harley Quinn that also had Huntress and Black Canary. They tried a Catwoman movie years ago. I don't know that would be the next person that, character they would want to try again. So that doesn't leave a lot of choices. You have sort of Batgirl, Batwoman, which they've talked about, and Supergirl. Obviously, we've had a casting. She'll appear in Flash. So it makes perfect sense. We've heard talk about Justice League Dark and doing a Constantine thing on HBO Max. And I wouldn't be surprised with the sort of structure of how the HBO Max series, Peacemaker and the spinoff from the Batman are going to sort of be structured in with the movies. I wouldn't be surprised if whoever they cast as John Constantine for what they're doing on HBO Max wouldn't maybe appear in a Zatanna movie as well. There could be a connection there. So it makes perfect sense. And she's a great, I just loved Promising Young Woman and thought it was such, so well written, so well directed. So, have they said anything about directing? It was just an announcement about writing. I hope they give it to her as a filmmaker too.
Same.
Yeah.
So all of us are voting the same on the ballot there. Vote for Emerald if you're watching this ever. We're voting for you, writer, director. What do you guys think about Zatanna getting her a standalone movie before? Personally, I love it. Because when I first heard about this, about Zatanna, I thought that they would go in the way of a TV series and not a movie, just because I think there's so much depth to all these characters, and that sometimes in a movie it's going to be hard, to introduce I don't want to call her a lesser known character. Like, I've known about Zatanna for a long time, but maybe for the general audience, they may not. But seeing kind of how they're going to do this, doing it a movie, and maybe they will start interconnecting things in the DCEU again. What do we think about her being one of the first, aside from Wonder Woman, being one of the first female characters to get a standalone movie?
Well, and also a magical character, right? Shazam is partly in the magic, and obviously we're going to see Dr. Fate in Black Adam, which there'll be magic dealt with that. But I feel like maybe this is sort of a way of them broadening out the magic world of DC Comics, the way Marvel did with Guardians of the Galaxy and sort of the space realm of the Marvel universe. So again, maybe connecting into Constantine or Justice League Dark, or it could sort of be a launching point. And because she's a well-known DC female character, I think it's a good choice to use that as maybe a launching point for the magic of the DC universe.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think now is the time of women. Now is the time of people of color. So you lead with these instead of leading with your standard white males characters. So I think this is brilliant. If she's your entry point into Justice League Dark, she's a fantastic entry point into that. J.J. Abrams, Bad Robot, they're involved with creating that. So that could open the door. You're right. We don't know who's going to be Constantine. We don't know who's going to be these characters. But Zatanna touches so many different bases. She showed up first in Hawkman. So Hawkman was announced. We're going to get a Hawkman. She's connected to Constantine. She's connected to the Justice League. So whenever they reform that Justice League, because it's very clear they're not going to go down the Zack Snyder path anymore, then that's going to be curious to see. So I like the fact that she has she's touched all these different areas, so you can use her as a conduit to all these different areas and follow her journey as essentially standing in for the audience as she experiences all this stuff. So I think it's brilliant. And you're right about the magic aspect of it all. I think it's very interesting to explore that and open that door. You see Marvel doing it already with Doctor Strange, so you got to explore this a little bit more on the DC side of things too. So she's perfect. And whenever people hear the word Zatanna, who even slightly know her, they always have a smile on their face. No one ever has any complaint about Zatanna. They really enjoy her, and she's a character that is easy to root for and want the best for, and that's going to help audiences go along on their journeys with her.
Are you guys a little surprised that it took this long? Like in 2021, we finally get the announcement that she's going to get a standalone film.
I mean, no.
Maybe a little.
I'm not really surprised, but now is the time to celebrate the things that are happening. rather than things that should have happened. And so we remember the lessons, and I hope all the studios have learned their lessons, and this is the path going forward.
Yeah, love that. Also, real quick, this isn't really on our show notes, but I did read, I think it was late last night that I read that they cast Wallace Day of Krypton for Kate Kane, Batwoman, in like a alternate on the show, but she's like alternate universe Batwoman, from what I heard. Or
so
like
she's
that.
actually replacing Ruby Rose as the character Kate Kane.
Yeah.
And I believe there's like a disfigurement and sort of, you know what I mean? And that's how they're going to explain that she, and this way, and the way I understand it, the Ryan Wild Batwoman will continue to be the main Batwoman.
Yes.
But they had to find a way to sort of, I think, finish Ruby Rose's character's arc, especially since she was a paragon in the Crisis on Infinite Earths spinoff, which, you know, makes her a very important person in the Arrowverse. So I think they needed to somehow, and because Ruby Rose is not available for whatever reason, I think they needed to, and so that's how I understand that piece of recasting.
That's exciting. I'm excited for her. She's a lovely lady, a lot of fun. So I'm like really happy to kind of hear the news and that they're gonna at least finish out her arc, because I've always felt that was kind of gonna be an empty spot left that just wasn't finished. We didn't finish exploring that at all. 100%. So at least she'll get like a, you know, an official farewell, if you will. Or she can stay on the show. She can stay on and just pop in every now and again.
Right. Like, I wonder if that's maybe the direction they're going in.
I would prefer.
I think this is them closing the door, obviously, on Ruby Rose, right?
Yes, I mean, absolutely.
You don't complain about stunts and then do 4 action films right after you leave the show. It wasn't congruent with her complaints about the show. It's clearly she didn't want to be on the show anymore, and they tried to cover it up by saying, "Oh, she had issues with the stunts or whatever." But you don't go do 4 action films if you had issues with stunts. So I mean, she clearly didn't want to be part of it. They didn't want her to be a part of it, and it was done. Now you bring this character back, and Carolyn Dries said this. It was a really great quote in the Hollywood Reporter. She didn't want to have this idea of, you know, like bury your gays. She didn't want to have that on her own show when she has been a very big supporter of the LGBTQ community, and having this story with Kate Kane play out, she felt it was her responsibility as a showrunner, reading from her quotes, to make sure that storyline played itself out correctly. So they cast a new actress to take that spot and take it forward. And dare I say, an actress who's probably going to bring some more level, some more complexity, some more depth to this character of Kate Kane, and give the show writers some more avenues to explore with her and Javisa Leslie. So I'm looking forward to it.
Same here.
They were sort of painted into a box with where they could go. And so they needed to, I agree, sort of resolve the Kate Kane issue in order to be able to spend more time with Ryan Wild.
Yeah. That's going to be super exciting. And you guys, of course, this would not be the Pop Council if Wendy didn't try to shoehorn some theme park news in there. So we're going to do that right now. And it's perfect that Rocha is on this one, because we are theme park buddies, as in we both worked for a theme park.
True. Very true.
In the past. But Disneyland, I mean, all the theme parks are starting to kind of open up in Southern California here, but Disneyland finally gets an official date. It's going to be April 30th, and they're opening at 15% capacity. And right now, they haven't said anything about ticket prices, if they're going to somehow bring back a version of a pass holder sort of a deal. I doubt that's going to be the first thing they focus on. I think they're going to focus on park operation and bringing in the cast and train them properly to how to handle, you know, operating at this point. And they're only admitting, I guess, anybody who wants to go. You have to, I guess, show proof that you are a California resident. So they're not, they don't want to have anybody enter the park that is from outside. I don't know how they're going to like check that. Do they check an ID as you get into the park to make sure it's a California license or an
That's
ID?
What I would imagine.
Yeah.
Or when you purchase your ticket, it would have to be. But I'm really excited just because, like, of course, I don't think I have a chance in hell getting like a ticket right off the bat, because they're going to sell out so quick and I'm just not as fast or lucky with things like that. But I am excited to hear that they are slowly reopening, and if things continue, then they can maybe move on to like 15%, then it's 25%, and then we kind of like operate at that for a little bit. But as a theme park gal, I am super excited about this. Would you guys think that once the park opens, everything is kind of you know, as you see how it operates, maybe take a little walk down Buena Vista Avenue, a little walk down Main Street. Jamie's shaking his head. No, not ready yet.
Nope.
Not ready.
I will. I mean, I'm not a huge amusement park person to begin with, so it's not like a huge loss in my life not to be going. And so because of that, I just don't, you know, like, look, they got to open, right? Like, you know, it's been a year. They got to open, do it safe, do it small, you know, I'm all for like, let's slowly get back on track. For me personally, I will not be going in a crowd like that and going through that anytime soon. But
until we get a little vaccine.
Yeah, for at least for me.
Right.
Yeah. Exhibit vaccine. And listen, I don't really want to be around crowds at an amusement park anyways. But if I were to, yeah, I would wait longer. But I'm glad that it's opening and certainly for people that, you know, love it and have missed it and want to get back to it and feel safe doing it. Great. And I hadn't known about what you said about the California. I think that's actually really smart too, because the last thing we need in California right now is people flying from Florida and all over the place to come here. So, but for California residents, you know, especially people in Anaheim and wherever who want to go out, you know, if they can do it safe, like it's time, I'm all for it. But for me personally, I'm going to wait a little while longer.
Yeah.
What about you?
Yeah, especially after seeing those images and videos from spring break down in Florida. I don't need those people coming here and causing any kind of problems and bringing the strains or whatever. You know, that's the real issue that you want to be concerned about. You know, transferring that stuff to other people who, when you're passing state to state, you can't have it. I know reading the article, California Adventure apparently opened last Thursday in a limited capacity as well. People paid like $75 and included their parking. They got a $25 food voucher, and they were able to just walk around California Adventure with none of the rides running. The characters were an appropriate distance. You couldn't hug or anything like that. They just waved at you, and you got to walk around the park. And, you know, I sometimes can be the kind of person that's like, well, what? It's a theme park. You know, what's the big deal? You can wait. But listening to some people who actually, especially during this last year, the mental health aspect of this can't be ignored. And a lot of people really do feel going to these theme parks like is so great for their mental health, so great for them recalibrating or recentering themselves, feeling like there's hope, feeling like you can go back to normal. I will tell you this, when I went to Universal Studios in Florida to the Harry Potter land there, it was so engrossing that I thought to myself, like, this is a place I would love to live. If I could get an apartment in Harry Potter land and just live here, I would do this for the rest of my life and never see the outside world. And it's what motivated me a few months later to audition to be a part of the Harry Potter land there here in LA. There in LA. So to me, I understand the power of theme parks, having worked there now. I understand how people need it. And so for me, yes, it's dangerous. Yes, I'm concerned. Yes, I'm worried. But then by the same token, I can't take away the positive aspects that the park represents for certain people in our society.
Absolutely. Agree to what both of you say. And I think that, like, to Jamie's point, if you are going to feel anxious about being in crowds or you just don't like theme park crowds, don't put yourself in that situation, obviously. If you're going to go, respect the rules that are being put in place by the park. You know, put your mask on the whole time. Don't gather in a small, we've been doing this for over a year now, a little over a year now. So just, you know, don't do that. I had a friend who went to that Touch of Disney event, and he said there was so much room because they also operated at a very limited capacity. Yeah. There was so much room. It was never crowded for him. Nobody made a fuss. Everybody wore masks. Everybody stayed away from each other. And also the cast members are real strict about if your mask is on. The only time you are allowed to take it off is because it was a food and beverage event. You are eating, and after that, they will kind of like watch you and make sure your mask is back on. And if they don't, they will walk up into you, say, "Hi, excuse me, so sorry. Put this on," and then they'll wait for you to do this, and then they'll say, "Have a magical day." So I super appreciate that, and I'm excited to kind of see how things go. Mostly, I'm excited for my Disney friends who can actually get back to work. Yeah, so that's very, very exciting. But you guys, one of the main things I could not wait to talk to you guys about today was the your thoughts on the first episode of Falcon and the Winter Soldier. So this is going to be like full on spoiler discussion. I think we can dive right into it for anybody who is watching, who have not watched the Falcon and the Winter Soldier first episode. I would say like mute the next like 15 minutes or so, just in case, you hear something you don't want to hear. But this show, like we've been waiting forever for this show to finally come out. We've been seeing trailer after trailer after trailer, a lot of, Falcon action, a lot of Winter Soldier arm punching action, a lot of their interaction, which is what's really interesting to me, to see their partnership and their dynamic together. And I would say in the first episode, we didn't actually get any interaction between the two main characters at all, which kind of surprised me, but I liked it. What did you guys think about the pace and just the overall tone for episode 1? Let's go to Jami.
Yeah. I was a little disappointed with the first episode. And I listen, I love the MCU and trust Feige and love these actors as these characters and trust them enough to give this a little leeway. I kind of wish they had released maybe the first 2 episodes to press. Like they did with WandaVision, the first 3. With WandaVision, if they had just released the first episode, people would have been like, what? The third episode, at least reveals, okay, this is kind of where the rest of the series is going. With the first episode, I was left not quite sure where, I have ideas of where it's going, but, I think they missed a big opportunity having, I think you really do want to see the Falcon and the Winter Soldier in the same scene. Even if it had just been like the last scene of the show, and I understand why they ended on the point that they ended on the show. So I think for me, it sets up some really interesting stuff, but I'm not quite sure where it's going to go yet. I'm hoping by the next episode, it sort of picks up a little bit. And, is there a noise? Does someone hear a noise?
Yep, it's my neighbor's lawn mower is going like clockwork.
I was like, what? But yeah.
Let me mute myself as you talk.
No, it's fine. That's all I say is that I hope that it kind of picks up a little bit with the next episode. I'm sure it's going to, but I think that the joy of the show is going to be seeing the 2 main characters interacting with each other. I found their side stories intriguing, but not enough for me for the first episode. So I liked it, but I didn't love it. But I think I'll end up loving it once it picks up. I thought the first episode was a little slow. Other than that amazing introduction aerial action sequence. And so I'm glad we started on that at least, right? But then I thought it kind of the episode trails off a bit.
Yeah. No, I'm on the other side. I absolutely loved the first episode. I thought it was really great. Being a former military man, there was so much in here for me to attach onto, to remember, to connect to feel viscerally, and I really appreciated that. Yeah, the opening, Jami, you're absolutely right. What a phenomenal action sequence to start off with. We had this really kind of subtle, quiet moment of him ironing his shirt as a military man would. Everything's got to be pressed, and then putting the shield away in a nice bag. It's respect for the shield. All of it was great little character stuff for Sam Wilson, and then boom, he's off on this mission, which is of course is occurring in the past. From that opening moment, him ironing the shirt, and we see everything you do. We see Red Wing back and doing his thing. We see Batroc the Leaper come back, which is a great call out to Captain America: Civil War or Winter Soldier. All of that is great to see. And then we get to the actual character beats, and the story that we're dealing with is Sam Wilson as a black man in America, as a black hero, dealing with what a lot of black people deal with in this country, and Bucky being a PTSD survivor of a war and all the terrible things he's had to do for 90 years, as he said, one battle after another for 90 years. And we're following these 2 characters. And I think they did the right thing. And that is give us each person's story for a little bit. Let us savor and understand what's happening. So when they do come together, there'll be a shorthand that will help us, that will propel us through scenes of the story overall. And when we get to that final, I think you're right, Jami, all of us are going to love it. Just like there were a lot of people that after those first 3 episodes were like, what the hell's going on here in WandaVision? And then they fell in love with it as it went along. I think the MCU approaches these stories that way. We're going to lay the groundwork a little bit, and then boom, 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 we're going to bring you into these things. So I enjoyed the hell out of it. Loved the aspect that they're going with, and I can't wait to see more. I wish they had dropped all 6 of these on the same day. This is one of those
same.
I think that you could have binged, right? WandaVision was great to wait and speculate, but this is a little more straightforward with espionage and racism and what have you. So I think this could have been a fun binge for 6 episodes.
And I agree with you, John, and I like the slow way that it's unfolding in the 2 different stories. I think I just wish that they had released the first 2 episodes on the same day so that we could have. Do you know what I mean? Totally. And I'm fine with them taking their time, but I think you needed to get the 2 characters together pretty quickly to engage the audiences. And I really do like Sebastian Stan's Bucky's side story. I thought with the therapist and with his
she's great, by the way.
She's a fantastic actress. She's just one of the stars of Bosch.
Amy Aquino,
she's great, and she was on The Wire, I think, right?
Yes.
And so, and I really like the relationship he had, Bucky with the older gentleman. I don't want to give too much away about that.
What are you talking about? This is a spoiler review. Give it away.
And we find out. I guess I could say we find out that one of Bucky's sins is that he killed his son. And so he's trying to make amends for that. And then the date, I thought she was lovely. The bartender. I hope we see her again. So there's a lot I liked there. I will say the sister story with Falcon, that is where I felt it dragged a little bit for me. I mean, the banker scene was, interesting, but I hate that banker. I mean, I just wanted to punch him in the face. So,
but that's the point.
It was frustrating. But of course it is. Of course it is. But it's still uncomfortable and frustrating to watch.
Right.
Yeah.
But I like that they're tackling this stuff.
Of course.
Sorry.
Absolutely.
No, I'm loving hearing like kind of the 2, I don't want to say like 2 different opinions because it's just, an opinion on a first episode and specifically the pacing of it. And you're right. It is a tad bit for anybody who was kind of thinking they were going to come in action ablaze and it was going to be, like pew pew and fly and punch. And I like that. It was kind of like, a little bit more of like a serious mood in the very beginning with Sam ironing his shirt. And then I did like that we got to see the 2 of them separately. And so we can kind of get a little bit of the backstory, Sam coming back from being dusted. What was that like for him and his family? And that's why I think the scene with his sister was really important. Like she was giving him a hard time because she's like, well, you were literally gone. I went from having us doing this together, family business, the boat and everything, to you being gone, to trying to figure out how am I going to do this? And so she's been fighting. And the boat, I think it symbolizes, obviously the family, their childhood and everything. But the fact that she made that decision to let it go, like it wasn't a decision that she made overnight. So the fact that they really thought about it in the way they did, he was so confident, like he still trusted, in the good of the system and saying, no, I did my research. This is going to be great. Where she has probably had maybe months of sleepless nights and coming to term with she's going to let go of the family boat. Like that's in her parent. It looks like their parents' name is on the boat. Like that's a big deal. So I could only, it's interesting kind of seeing that the banker scene, seeing the contrasting expression on Sam going, are you kidding me right now? When the guy denied them, but then he's like, but I'm going to get a selfie with you, right? Like, because you're right here with me, but I'm not going to help you. And him being kind of almost shocked and disgusted, and her going, I mean, you just haven't been here. I don't know where you haven't been here for the last fight, but it's literally have been like this for a long time. So I loved seeing that. And I like the dynamic, and I hope to see more of Sam's sister. And I know this is called Falcon and Winter Soldier. And towards the end, obviously we're going to get all full on action, but I want to be able to explore their personal stories a little bit more. But Bucky making the amends, that scene of him going up to Yuri Nakajima and seeing, his son, the photo, and him wanting to come clean, make the amends and do steps 1 through 3 as per his therapist, but just couldn't do it. And was like, I just didn't give you money for lunch. Like that's heartbreaking for Bucky.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
You bring up an excellent point about the boat too. I want to circle back to it before we move too far away from it. I had a fan on the Outlaw Nation tell me this is something that Black families understand, the generational business, that it's a really important part of their journey in this country, the generations of Black families in this country who have passed on their businesses as a way to keep some kind of tentpole in the ground and survive, in a society that hasn't always been kind to our Black citizens. And I thought that was brilliant. And I had no idea the level of it and the weight of it until that was explained to me. And I was like, oh, this carries so much more weight. So you appreciate that they're adding these kind of subtle things that you're not necessarily catching them to overtly, but if you do catch them, they'll give you even more weight to the show. And I appreciate that, Matt. And we're still dealing with the bust up of Hydra. So there's so much of that that's going on, right, as well. And then we end up with a dorky white Captain America at the end.
I mean, I
shout out
can't,
to Russell Wyatt, but
can I ask a question? How weird was his jaw?
Yeah,
like,
that's on
what
purpose.
Did they do?
Yeah.
You think it was on purpose to make him look like a dork, basically?
Yeah,
right?
it's got to look like a dork because it's like,
yeah.
Here's a strong Black man who handed over the shield willingly to the same politician who comes back later and hands it to a dorky white dude. Right. It's that same complaint. Black people have to have A's. You can get C as a white person and still be president. Okay. It's that kind of complaint.
I was like, why does he look so stupid? Like he looks, but that makes sense now that they tried to make him look like a joke on purpose.
It was like the helmet didn't fit his face.
Oh, it was weird.
Like
it was like his chin was pushed. It was really weird.
The wink was weird too.
I felt so gross when the guy announcing him was like, here's your new Captain America. I'm like, no.
Yeah. But of course, those are all the feelings they want us to have, right?
Of course. Yes.
That's why I hate the banker and why we don't like the military guy and all that. Do you think Cheadle knew what was going to happen, Rhodey?
Ooh, good question. By the way, that was a great scene, by the way. But
he seemed to sort. If he didn't know exactly what was going to happen, he at least was aware of what could. Like, if he didn't know for sure, he was sort of. It felt like he was warning Mackie Sam that he's been around long enough to know that this could happen.
Yeah,
I think you're 100% right. I think Rhodes probably knew because remember, if you watch, we're revisiting the Iron Man movies, my girlfriend and I, and some of the other Marvel stuff. Rhodes and either Terrence Howard or Don Cheadle, they're more aware of what's happening and what could happen than some of the heroes are about the inner workings and the politics and the military industrial complex, how much more they're involved in this situation than the heroes think or the heroes believe. And Rhodes was low key trying to tell Sam, why'd you give up the shield? You should have kept the shield. Sam's trying to downplay it, saying, hey, we didn't have a shield for 70 years. And Rhodes is like, dude, it's a different time now. And we need people to have that. So I think he low key knew what was going to happen. And he was not going to make it overt for Sam. So he'll have another role to play, I imagine, later on down the road.
Yeah, I don't feel like it's the last time we saw him. But since we're talking a little bit about U.S. agent here, John Walker, Mr. Nobody in the comments saying, I'm curious to see what they do with that new Captain America character with a gun in his holster. Didn't pick that up.
I didn't pick that up either.
Did you, Rocha?
Yeah, totally. Because remember, Captain America gives up his gun. The original Captain America, he doesn't want to use the gun.
Right.
It's not his thing. If you read the comics, U.S. agent, he's pretty bumbling at first, and it's Sam has to save him.
That checks.
So I wonder if down the road that's where they're going to explore, and then he goes on as he becomes this kind of like evil part of American policy as super patriot, that eventually comes back around.
Gosh.
So so we may be seeing, and this is why you cast Wyatt Russell. You want an actor that's going to bring levels and depths and complexity to this character. So I think there may be a future where all three of them by the end of the show are on the same side. Sam, Bucky, and the new Captain America in a fight against the overall big baddie being Baron Zemo. We shall see, but that's what I think. So we'll go on his journey too of him messing stuff up, having to be saved, going into a dark place, and then maybe coming back out of it and maybe coming together with Bucky and Sam. We shall see. But I think
how are they going to do this in like 6 episodes? Now I'm thinking they're trying to flesh out Sam's story and Bucky's story. You got to bring them together. I assume by next episode they will meet up already, because there was already a hint where the therapist is looking at Bucky's phone and she's like, you have only 10 numbers on this thing. You haven't even been talking to Sam, who's obviously trying to do a little bit of reaching out, a little bit of checking in maybe, and he's just not connecting at all. So I wonder if Sam would give Bucky another try, but this time it's not like a, hey, how you doing? You doing okay there? It's more of a, hey, so my boy Torres here discovered some pretty crazy things about the Flag Smashers. So let's talk about them real quick, because Torres was already kind of investigating them at the top of the episode when he was sitting down having a tea or coffee or something with Sam after that mission. And he's kind of going into a deep dive. And I was curious as like, oh, is this guy going to be kind of double agent? Like he's going to stab him in the back. It turns out that he's, I think, just like good soldier, good at heart, and just really trying to find the root of the problem. But putting himself in the scene where he's posing as one of the, I guess, one of the members of the Flag Smasher. And that whole scene was pretty chaotic because they all get that text message, run. I think this may be what is said in the foreign language. I'm not sure. But, this guy jumping out of the window, superhero lands with like bags of money. And we think we don't know who he is yet. So we can maybe have a little bit of like a speculation here, but seemingly also injected with some type of a super soldier serum there, because he was not just kicking people, he was like throwing people into lampposts and stuff like that. It was pretty intense. Like I thought Torres died. I was like, no, it was such a good first episode with him and they killed him already. Why? So there's also speculation that Torres is maybe kind of like if Sam were to hand the torch off to the next person, that it would be him. John, I see you nodding your head there.
Yeah. I mean, look, I love that we've got a Latino in the MCU. Keep bringing me more. I'm very happy to see this. Moon Knight, we're going to talk about it a little bit.
Yeah.
Oscar Isaac, another Latino in the Marvel MCU universe. But Joaquin Torres, if that's who that is, ends up becoming a Falcon, the second Falcon in the comics. So I think the way they're already building up their relationship, that is going to be how they establish things. Also, in that scene, you're talking about the Flag Smashers, the actress handing out the masks, that I think might be Carly Morgenthau, which is the female version they're going with of Carl Morgenthau, and Erin Kellyman, Enfys Nest herself, is playing that character, and so they're doing a swerve. Again, in the comics, it's a big dude who runs Flag Smashers. It may be her running it low-key, because this is 2021. A woman running things is not their own possibility, and an intelligent woman is certainly not out of the realm of possibility to run things. So she may be low-key running this overall, and that's going to be fun to explore. So all of that they're presenting, I'm excited about. I don't know if we'll see Joaquin become that by the end of this series, but certainly the hints are there, or the seeds are being laid there for sure. What do you think?
Wouldn't it be great if Joaquin came up like final episode of Falcon and Winter Soldier to Sam on your left?
Yeah,
I think I would cry.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting too, because you've got with U.S. Agent, and they haven't officially called them that yet, so we don't even know if they're going to end up using that name,
Patriot. Yeah,
right, or Super Patriot. And then Winter Soldier and Falcon all were Captain America at some point in the comics. So I wonder if they're going to kind of play fast and loose with that throughout this series to have us guess who will end up being the next Captain America. But the interesting thing with Torres is the fact that he's there. It does make me sort of think that eventually we'll get to Sam taking the mantle appropriately, and because I don't think Bucky wants it, and then that leaves space for Torres as the next Falcon. But I do think they're kind of playing fast and loose with our expectations of the characters from the comic books and how they're going to sort of have them come out. And the other thing I want to say about the Flag Smashers, that scene was super cool. Did it remind anyone else of Thomas Crown Affair?
Kind of, yeah, with all the people dressed up in the bowlers.
Yeah, I really hadn't thought of it.
That's a great point.
Holding inspiration.
Or V for Vendetta, or I mean, that trope has been used in a lot of movies.
Right. Yeah. Or one of the characters like watching just late night in Netflix. They're like, oh, that could work for our heist. Let's do that. Everybody gets a mask. Let's
but they'd have to be watching the Pierce Brosnan one, because they don't do that in the Steve McQueen one.
That's true. They don't do that. That's true. But,
well, I mean, go ahead, Rocha.
No, one last thing I just want to say. I was really impressed by Anthony Mackie in this episode. Like, he has come so far as a energy, as a presence, as an actor, and it's great to see him so much more mature and adult and strong in this part of Sam Wilson. And I think that helps all of us go on his journey with him and connect to him, so that when he does take the mantle, and I think I agree with Jami, I think he will take the mantle by the end. we are even more invested in him being our Captain America as we move forward with the MCU. I hope, because I just was blown away by him in this episode, the way I haven't been before.
I'd like to second what John just said and also say the same for Sebastian Stan.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I feel like Sebastian Stan has really, I mean, I think he's great. And I was not, a huge fan when he was originally cast for the first Captain America. But then seeing him grow and make Bucky cool, like Bucky kind of wasn't cool in the comics. Like, he's really made him cool until, of course, Brubaker's Winter Soldier in the comics. But yeah, I think he's really done. Both actors are great in these roles, and so I'm really looking forward to seeing them together on screen as it develops.
Yeah, I felt like the show, the energy was really, really great. It was the setup is good. So there's a nice blend of more serious tone, but there's a little bit of humor mixed in there as well. So you don't feel like so heavy and dreary the whole time watching these two guys going through, the events of their lives and things like that. So I can't wait for the next episode. Like, I wonder what is Sam doing next? As soon as he saw U.S. Agent appear on TV, is he going to pick up the phone, call Rhodey and be like, hey, what the hell, man? Or is he going to march right back into, Washington, D.C. and going, hey, what the hell, man? Or maybe that's actually what sparks the connection back up between him and Bucky, because they both care about Steve Rogers and the legacy of Captain America so much. Like, this cannot happen.
Well, and we know Sharon Carter's coming. We don't know when, but we know she is. So,
she better not be in the last episode. She better show up by episode 3, or I'm going to throw a chair.
No,
I think so.
Yeah. And don't forget Carl Lumley as well, possibly as the original Captain America, who was So I mean, they showed him in the.
I knew he was on the show, but I didn't know that's where he's going with. There's
a lot of rumors that he could be that, and they showed him in the end credits. Power Broker might be showing up in this. Well, Power Broker is shown in the end credits, so this could be a swerve, but it could actually be something that's happening. So I'm looking forward to it. And what else could help Sam become and embrace Captain America and break his idea of who Captain America is than finding out that the original Captain America was black, and just like that business, that's generational in the black community. So that could be powerful too.
That's awesome.
We'll see.
Gosh, I seriously can't wait. But since we're on the topic of Captain America, it's looking like Chris Evans will not be picking up the shield again. So he had a previous statement on social media that he's like, I didn't know about this. Like, he's not going to do it. Kevin Feige actually spoke candidly to EW about a future for superhero. And he saying he doesn't really answer no to anything these days, because one, they're also trying to keep things as a surprise for fans. Things are in development. Things change all the time. But for this one, he's like, I think this one, the man himself pretty much dispelled it. So are you guys fine with Chris Evans never picking up the shield again? Are you a little sad that we may not see him as Captain America again? Obviously, if we ever do see him, it would be maybe flashback only. How do you guys feel about that?
I'm very happy with it. I think leave Steve alone, right? Like, I mean, what an amazing run. And, he got to live his life out in the 40s, and leave Steve alone. Now, I will say I would enjoy seeing old Steve Rogers pop up once in a while if he needs to, for some kind of, because we don't really, there's a joke about it in the first episode. Is he on the moon and watching over us or whatever? So, and they don't talk about old Steve dying. So you would be led to believe old Steve is out there somewhere. So I'd be cool. Now, again, that should be a cameo. I don't need an old Steve movie. You know what I mean? Like, that should be a cameo in a Winter Soldier or something like this. But other than that, I think that, Chris did a great job. Steve was amazing. He really brought that character to life. Like, leave it alone. Although we do know that Chris Evans will return as the voice of Steve Rogers in the What If cartoon. Right.
Yeah.
So he will reprise, Steve in one way. But as far as being the younger Steve on camera, I think we're done.
I'd love to see.
And I'm not disappointed by that either.
Yeah. Love to see a Dark Knight Returns or Spider-Man Reign version of old Captain America. Time to save the world again. No,
Take the shield.
Old man
heavier.
Steve. Old man Steve.
Old man Steve. I'm right. Old man Steve.
Right.
Get himself vaccinated too. I like that, that Kevin Feige put the kibosh on this, and it doesn't mean that down the road things might change, sure. And it doesn't mean that Deadline got it wrong. It doesn't mean that there weren't possible conversations when they broke the story. So, that happens sometimes. True. Yeah, people jump too hard on publications and on sites. Oh, you were wrong. You have no idea what was going on behind the scenes, what might have been discussed, whatever. It's just the game. But Feige put the kibosh on it. I'm cool with this. I think Chris gave us great stuff, and nothing says down the road he can't come back 10 years, 20 years from now even. He's still a young man, play the role in a different iteration. I'd love to see that. Maybe he's off being Nomad for a while, and if they go and do the time jump and all of that, he comes back as a younger Captain America than an older Captain America. But I like Jamie's idea. I like him being like Obi-Wan Kenobi and like occasionally, use the Force, Sam, something like that, where he gets him dialed in.
Use the shield, Sam.
Yeah, or something like, because I imagine Bucky, wants some sort of closure with Cap as well. Even though Sam got the shield, Bucky might, as he's going down this journey, because a lot of what Bucky's experiencing is similar to what Captain America experienced through the movies, reassimilating back into society. Yeah.
Best friends and things like that. And since we're kind of on the topic of like what is the next phase, Marvel continues to push forward with what they're doing within the MCU. So Feige talked a little bit also to EW about the possibility of Young Avengers. So we can kind of see now phase 4. We're starting to introduce all these type of new characters, whether it's via a film in the MCU or TV shows as the MCU. And he said that in this interview specifically, now all of us at Marvel Studios feels like Nick Fury at the end of Iron Man 1 as new actors and new performers come in and we tell them they're a part of a bigger universe and they just have to do the work required to build their audience. I'm happy to say that everyone here, certainly where I'm sitting now, is doing amazing work and I can't wait to show them the world. Obviously, we have seen already the introduction of Billy and Tommy from WandaVision, and they, once they grow up, they take the names of Speed and Wiccan. We have Kate Bishop is coming, played by Haley Steinfeld. We have, and I think Catherine Newton has been cast as Cassie Lang.
That's correct.
So she will be, I think, featured in the upcoming, what's the next one? Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania. Yeah. So that, I believe all those characters are actually members of the Young Avengers, plus America Chavez. And I'm not sure about Miss Marvel. So like, this is really exciting to me because I feel like the only time I ever read or seen anything about Young Avengers is comic books. I don't think there's been any sort of live action.
No, there was a pretty good animated movie maybe 10 years ago that Marvel did. But there's never been a Young Avengers live action anything.
My gosh, I'm really excited at the prospect of just like, we're getting like the new Avengers and then we're getting Young Avengers. And I kind of want to see like, eventually down the line when they announce the Young Avengers show, and now by then we'll have various characters pretty much fleshed out. They would have had their own either movie or TV shows. This is really exciting. This just goes to kind of show what we started from Iron Man 1. And I remember kind of hearing about Iron Man 1. I'm like, this is the character they're going with for the first Marvel movie. Oh, okay. Not, obviously we've had Spider-Man and stuff like that, but that was Sony. And then Marvel was like a kind of like a separate because of studio stuff. But looking back to all the way to that movie to where we are now, the universe keeps expanding and I can't keep the characters straight. It's so much. It's so much. Would you guys be excited for a live action Young Avengers TV show or movie?
Oh yeah. I think that'd be great. It's the next phase, right? Look, we all know the reality of business and studios. Get them young so you can start it all over again. The cycle.
Sign that contract.
Again. Exactly. Get multiple movies, multiple series out of them. And the heroes, some of the heroes in the original Avengers were getting, for the Hollywood version, getting along in the tooth for some of the stuff they were doing. So they're moving on from some of them and then introducing these new actors, new actresses coming in and taking these roles. I'll be curious to see if we see Eli Bradley in the Falcon and Winter Soldier series, because he is the grandson of Elijah Bradley, who was the original Captain America. So that could be something where it's connected even more so, where he's a part of it. And that kind of completes the circle of all the Young Avengers. And I do think Miss Marvel will have something to do with this as well. So all of it, all exciting, and a multicultural Avengers, which is what Tessa Thompson teased in that interview a year or so ago, where she said Marvel has listened and it's becoming more diverse in the next phase. And this would certainly be a diverse Young Avengers if that happens.
I'm so excited.
I agree with John. I mean, I think it's a no-brainer that this was the next evolution, the next direction for them to go with all the sort of, different teams and characters they have in the comics. I think that's very smart, what you said about the Patriot character. The only other main character I can think of from Young Avengers comics that we don't have is Hulkling. So where would Hulkling come from? Right. Maybe She-Hulk instead. But I feel like you said, Wendy, I feel like there's going to be our new Avengers and our Young Avengers. And I think characters that are being introduced like She-Hulk, Moon Knight, they're going to go with Doctor Strange and Spider-Man and Captain Marvel into the new Avengers, and but maybe Miss Marvel and some of these other characters who are younger, even possibly She-Hulk could maybe go in the other direction. So it just makes a lot of sense, and it's obviously the next evolution of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And to one other point you made, when they started with all of this, I mean, you have to remember they didn't have marquee characters. Like Iron Man, Captain America, Thor, they were not Marvel's top comic book characters, right? They didn't have the X-Men, the Fantastic Four, Spider-Man. So what Feige did is almost, unthinkable. They created a whole mythology around basically the B characters that they still owned, made them A characters, and then got the rights to their A characters back. So, and you'd be hard put to find a kid now, under 10 years old that doesn't think Iron Man and Hulk and Thor are like the top heroes of all time. When in our day, John, when we were growing up, that was
not the case.
You go to a non-comic book fan in high school and start talking about Iron Man, they'll be like, "What is wrong with you?"
Right.
You
mean the drunk rich dude in the metal suit? No thanks.
The Batman ripoff? Yeah.
Exactly. But Hulkling might show up in Captain Marvel too. There've been a lot of rumors about that, so we'll see if that's how they add that. Yeah,
that's interesting.
So we shall see if that happens.
Ooh, man, there's so much good stuff happening with Captain Marvel too. We were going to get Monica and Miss Marvel and maybe Hulkling, and that'd be super cool. Another super cool news. I couldn't wait to talk about this, and I thought it would be great to kind of end the show on this note, talking a little bit about Moon Knight and, of course, about Oscar Isaac, who's been doing a lot of training, stunt training, fight choreography for the upcoming show Moon Knight. And we saw it on the Instagram account. I think it's like @cosmic_Marvel, where he's not just like learning the choreography, he's performing it with his stunt team. It looks like the moves very similar to capoeira. And I believe with Moon Knight, he's kind of really not just one style of martial arts. He's kind of an expert in all the various, kind of an MMA fighter in a sense. How did you guys feel when you saw the footage of him training, taking down the stunt guys?
Dude, Oscar Isaac is a badass, man. He is a badass guy, badass actor. I mean, I've loved him since Drive and Sucker Punch, and he's just gotten better and better. And in the films that he's been in over the last, I don't know, whatever it's been, 8 or 10 years. And so, he was amazing. I thought casting for Moon Knight. Great character. I think he's going to bring something really interesting to it. And then just seeing him physically was like, yeah, man, that's it. Like, that's it. It reminded me of Keanu Reeves in the shooting range, right? That video scene. That's what it reminded me of that scene where you're just like, oh man.
It made me feel old. I could hear every bone cracking as I was watching all those moves, remembering the days when I could possibly pull that off back in my 20s in the military. So, but I thought it was great. Look, I mean, Oscar Isaac, what a stellar actor. And clearly this is a man who has no problems being in a large franchise or a big IP situation. You just gotta do right by him. And so he obviously has seen something really great in the Moon Knight character and the scripts and the story they want to tell and wants to be a part of it. I love it. Mark Spector, not usually a Latino guy, so I love that they've cast Oscar Isaac to play this character. I'm a massive fan of Moon Knight. I own multiple books. I read Moon Knight all the time. It's one of my favorite characters. So the fact that it's coming, I'm excited. And the fact that they're putting this kind of dedication to it is even more exciting because you don't always see his face. So Moon Knight could have gone the way of the Mandalorian where Pedro's not in that suit, but instead Oscar wants to do the stunts. So more power to him. Maybe that makes him connected to the actor, and maybe we'll get a dance sequence as well, like Ex Machina. It'll be a lot of fun to see him do that. So yeah,
immediately that popped in my head.
I want to ask John a quick question. Since you know the Moon Knight character so well, what villain do you think Ethan Hawke's playing?
I think he's playing the guy who's his best friend, who was his mentor, and then turns on him.
Okay,
I think that's absolutely
the betrayal.
Yeah, it's part of MCU, isn't it?
Yeah, it's true.
That's a good point.
Just like good wrestling storylines, you got to have the betrayal. It doesn't work if you don't have the betrayal.
Accurate.
Yeah.
And you have that like kind of long, dialogue or monologue of the characters meeting back up face to face. So we're gonna do this. Yeah, we're gonna do this. I thought you were. I don't know. I'm like writing it in my head. Honestly, when I saw the footage, I was really impressed. And it looked like to me, Oscar Isaacs had some experience with the art form already, because I was like, I mean, yes, you can train to learn that, but it just seems so natural for him. Like it flowed for him. But also like the idea of Oscar Isaac not being good at something, it would be really surprising to me because I think he's just overall, like I put him on a pedestal for sure. Like I can't wait to see him in Dune. You know,
oh yeah,
looks amazing. So I was really, really happy that they decided to cast him as Moon Knight. And this show isn't even coming until I think 2022.
Yeah,
at least.
Like much later. Yeah. So the fact that they're already training now, can you imagine what it's all going to look like when they finally, put the show up? Like the stunts are going to be amazing. I think he's got a lot of work ahead though, because if he's in truly like a MMA mixed martial artist type of deal, it's not just that form, that he's going to have to learn a bunch of other ones too. Yeah. But some of the takedowns was pretty cool. And like you said, Rocha, I was watching, I was like, that looks like it hurts.
And you've done your own training, Wendy. You must have been impressed with what he was able to do, because you know how hard it can be.
Yeah, it all hurts. Even when you're young, it still hurts. You just don't feel it right away. I think as you get older, as you get up, you're like, I'm just gonna sit here on the mat for just and I'll get up. And then, when you're a little bit younger, 20 years ago, bounce back up again, like bruises, nothing. And now I'm just kind of like, what I do? You guys, this has been such a fun time. Rocha, I want to thank you so much for giving us your time, coming on the show. Let us know where they can find you, your channel, your socials. Drop them right now.
Thank you. You can always find me at The Rocha Says on Twitter and on Instagram. All the things I'm doing there, all the reviews, all the shop talk about the world of entertainment and superheroes. Come on board. And if you want to come and see all the stuff I'm doing and creating over on my channel, it's youtube.com/John Rocha Says, or just type in The Outlaw Nation and John Rocha. It'll come up on YouTube. Come subscribe. We've crossed 16,400, marching towards 20,000 subscribers, step by step, piece by piece. It's been a process, and I love it. So come aboard and see all our spoiler reviews as well, and all the stuff we just talked about, and our Zack Snyder's Justice League review, which was 3 hours and 18 minutes last night with all exactly with all the geek buddies and Mike Kalinowski joining us. But Wendy and Jami, thank you so much for having me on. I love being a part of the Hollywood Critics Association, and I love seeing you guys and being a part of the show. So thank you for having me as a guest.
We're so happy you could join us today. Please come back when you have the time.
Absolutely, would love
to. Awesome. And Jami, where can everybody find you?
Awesome. Everyone can find me on Twitter or Instagram at Philbrick, and at my name, Jami Philbrick, on Facebook.
And for me, you can find me everywhere, just my name right below my picture, at Wendy Lee Szany. And of course, please follow HCA Critics at HCA Critics. I believe that is the same handle on Twitter and on Instagram. And of course, subscribe to the channel for more shows just like this one. If you're into horror, we have a show called Horrifically Horrifying, a very hard name for me to say for some reason, but it's a fantastic show. If you want to know what is coming up on all the streaming platforms, we have a show appropriately called what to stream. And of course, Trending in Hollywood, hosted by the one and only Scott Menzel. And with that said, you guys, thank you so much for hanging out with us. We will see you next Monday for another round of Geek Council. Nope, I just made up the name. Pop Council. Haven't had coffee. That's what happens. Drink a coffee, guys, and have a good one.